You know that feeling when you think everybody hates you and you've just done something wrong? That might just be rejection sensitivity dysphoria.
It's a personality trait known as sensory processing sensitivity, and 1 in 5 people experience this sort of emotional hypersensitivity.
Pretty bleak thoughts were going through my mind when I saw that. I remember somebody, it might have been Lisa Muggeridge, but somebody said that they were training to become a social worker. And on the first day, they were told to look to the left and look to the right. And the point was, one of you, of the three of yous, are in this business for the wrong reasons. And that's frightening and true, that there's lots of people who are attracted. This was social worker, but like counselling, psychotherapy, doctoring. They're attracted to it because maybe a God complex, because they want to look down on other people. Maybe they are cruel and sadistic. Maybe they have really dark impulses. We don't know, but it was a chilling story. That like, wow, imagine if that's true. Yeah, there's a lot of people in my profession who are in it for the wrong reasons.
And it seems to me that retaining a real curiosity towards everything is so important. Like the example you gave, it shouldn't really be the feelings of someone to say, oh yes, I can treat this now. Do you know what I mean? Like more of a neutral.
Oh,
yeah.
What do you think? Yeah, that would have always like, yeah. When I was doing my counselling psychotherapy degree, God, I totally saw a few that I thought they shouldn't be working in this. There should be a mechanism to stop that person working in this. This isn't right. I remember distinctly saying that. And then it's funny because my husband still refers to the day that he came to collect me. I've been coming home with these glowing stories about how amazing my degree was. And we were only starting to go out. I don't know how long we were together at that stage. But anyway, he came to collect me one of the days. And he said, he walked into the room and he said he just saw a crowd of mad people. So I was like, I think they're all lovely. And he was like, and to this day, he remembers it just going, what is this? This is a crowd of lunatics.
And were they behaving oddly, or was it just the knowledge that they were in therapy?
Oh God, no! These were all training to be psychologists.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, gotcha.
They're all training, and he just thought he went into a room filled with, you know, the 1,000-yard stare. That they were all really
traumatized.
But pretty mad with it. And he, to this day, refers to it, kind of going, when I went into that room, what I saw. Now, he's a builder and just an ordinary man who was dad. I mean, they were lunatics, Stella. What the hell? Because up until then, he thought I was in the middle of something brilliant. Then he was like, whoa.
Yeah.
What are you getting into here? It's a funny little aside.
Yeah, because I guess, you know, across the board in my course, everyone had been through stuff. And I think that goes without saying, you know, it'd be odd to kind of be a therapist if you always were extremely happy. I don't know, but you could tell some people had worked through it enough to be there. And some people needed to work through a lot more, I suppose. Yeah.
And some people were working through it on the back of it and were never going to face it.
Yeah.
And they're the most dangerous.
Yeah.
No, Carl Jung said that. He said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will shape your fate. It will shape your life and you will call it fate. And he was so right. And those are the dangerous therapists.
I wanted to show you some clips I have here. So obviously TikTok is incredibly influential. Some parents probably don't even know what their kids are. You know, when I see stuff like this, initially it's like, oh, this is educational and informative, but I'd love to know your opinion on it, on the kind of things that kids are being exposed to.
5 psychiatric drugs associated with the most sedation.
3 things you won't believe are related to ADHD. You know that feeling when you think everybody hates you and you've just done something wrong? That might just be rejection sensitivity dysphoria.
Borderline personality disorder is when someone who didn't get a secure attachment growing up now doesn't have a strong sense of self or identity.
This woman has more than 2,000 personalities.
Hello. Hi. I'm Symphony.
And Ricky.
You haven't come to arrest me, have you?
Dissociative identity disorder.
You need to take a moment. Totally cool.
I'm just switching, sorry.
Do you want to take a quick moment?
Sorry, what?
Do you want to take a quick moment off stage?
No, I'm here now. Sorry.
Okay, yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
It's Kyle.
Hello, Kyle.
Nice to meet you.
Hi.
You just started Adderall? Let's talk about it. And it increases neurotransmitters like dopamine and norepinephrine to really help you with you staying focused and paying attention.
You feel a lot? It's a personality trait known as sensory processing sensitivity, and 1 in 5 people experience this sort of emotional hypersensitivity.
3 things I didn't realize were related to OCD until I was diagnosed. 1, oversharing. I would feel the need to share every detail about every thought. Otherwise, I would think that I was lying.
People with an anxious attachment style generally attract people with an avoidant attachment style, which
fucking sucks.
Because it doesn't work.
What are your thoughts on that?
I was pretty bleak thoughts were going through my mind when I saw that, those clips, because I thought, like, there it is in a snapshot in 3 minutes, exactly what's gone wrong with our culture and exactly where we've gone wrong. I see it in I've got 2 teenagers, 14 and 16-year-old. My 16-year-old girl, like the boy less so, but the girl, I could see it in the way she talks. Now, obviously she's going to talk a little bit therapeutic because of me, but this extraordinary diagnosing, if you've got borderline and, if you feel deep feelings, you're human. You don't need the diagnosis for that. Some of the clips were pretty shocking because it's exactly what's going wrong. Abigail Schreier really outlines it in her new book, Bad Therapy. And it's not just about bad therapists. It's about a therapeutic culture that we have grown up in, so that these days when somebody might talk about how distressed they are, if I was a good friend of yours and I said, I'm really down, my dad has died from cancer or something, and the response is, maybe you should go to therapy, rather than, oh, tell me about it, let's have a cup of tea. You know what I mean? We're pathologizing and professionalizing everything to do with distress. Human condition is filled with angst, distress, worry. That's every human. We wake up and we worry about staying in bed too long, if you're me, or different things from then until we go to sleep. We have kind of, little thoughts, and sometimes they get worse and sometimes they're pathological. But an awful lot of the human condition is a worry ward. Like, the brain is a problem-solving organ. So when the brain is in ease, it looks around for things to solve. That's what we do. Therefore, we worry. That's why we're not a cat or a dog or a cow chewing the cud mindlessly. We're sitting there thinking of things because we've got this problem-solving organ in our brain, and it's very active. And as a result, we've created great music, great poetry, films, literature, architecture, technology. Because of this, we've gone to such great heights. But to think that we're going to get rid of that angst that is just integral to being human is an absolute... when you look at that clip, I meet a lot of teenagers within my clinical practice, and they believe that there's all these people, most people are living these golden lives, and they've got other golden friends, and they go to golden parties in the weekend, and life is just this kind of like the TV, this gorgeous place where you can be. They truly believe it. They truly believe this is my fault that I'm filled with angst and worry and insecurity and all that, while everybody else is actually just rolling through life as if they're something from a film, a nice Hollywood, rosy pinked film, rosy hued film. And so it's literal rose tinted glasses on the rest of the world. And all of those diagnoses all over TikTok is pathologizing this idea that everybody else is living these great lives. I've got something wrong with me. I need to get the right diagnosis, the right framework, the right pathway, the right medication. And then I'll live this golden life with everybody else. And none of that is true. And it's deceptive. And it links these kids who come to see me into thinking there's something wrong with them. And I'm like, no, you're human. I think like that. You think like that. We all think like that. We worry our way through life. And we can have moments of great happiness, moments of great joy. You can still knock some fun out of it. You can still knock some fun out of life. I do think a lot of it comes from a good place, that these people, they think we're doing, factually, it might be true that some of the things they're saying is, 1, 2, 3 top tips and all this sort of stuff. I'm guilty of it myself. I do videos. I do mental health videos. And I hope I'm not so simplistic, but it could be taken as that. I suddenly want to wrap up all my videos and dump them now. I've just seen that.
I've not actually seen that content from you, but I'm sure it's...
I know nobody watches it. I'm on my YouTube, but I don't touch my YouTube.
I'd love to go check it out.
Oh, thank you. You can see what you think. But they're certainly slower and just more thoughtful, I would hope.
Yeah.
But I do put them on my Substack. I have a Substack, and the parents, I think, really benefit from it, where I just take one specific thing. I don't diagnose and pathologize, but I talk about just being human and how difficult it is to be human. Just very difficult. But it's also beautiful because we don't have any other option. And there's so much beauty in life. There's so much great things you and I can have today. Like, the gorgeousness of a gorgeous cup of coffee, chatting with a mate, going for a walk and have the wind on your face, getting into bed at night when you're all tired. There's so many beautiful experiences, having a hot shower that we can have today, no matter how distressed we are.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of joy there ready for us, but there's an awful lot of life.
Completely agree. It's something, I've really learned, and I had to learn such a hard way because I've been through years of a chronic pain issue where prior to that, I was generally extremely anxious as a person and would worry about all the tiny things, Definitely a product of my childhood, but that kind of losing my ability to even participate in society, it gave me so much perspective. And now I feel so much calmer towards just the everyday things, even if they're stressful and hard. I think this is not as big as it seems, Sorry to just indulge myself.
I know it's a very good point. I've had the same epiphany that no matter how hard things are, they were worse. My teenage years, that loneliness, that devastation, nothing compares.
Yeah.
So no matter how hard it is, I've been through a lot worse. So,
and I noticed with a lot of these clips, you get a lot of accounts of, a psychiatrist, for example, who works in the NHS, and they have a TikTok with hundreds of thousands of followers. But the videos they make, they're educational for the purposes of other mental health professionals, but they're mainly being watched by just teenagers going, oh, I could try this antidepressant and,
Did you see the guy in the white coat? Because I always say to my daughter, I say, oh yeah, did you learn that by somebody on TikTok with a white coat on? And she's like, do you know what I mean? They can't give themselves I've got a white coat and now I can really diagnose you. Sorry, go on.
No, that's pretty much all I had to say on that. And my observation is that now people are very intent on having a named diagnosis as part of their identity. Like, what is, because when I look at mental health illnesses, it seems like the more classic ones like schizophrenia and bipolar disorder seem to really have quite clear, maybe I'm completely wrong, but they seem to have quite clear criteria or symptoms for meeting that. But then, why are so many people getting diagnosed with ADHD, for example?
Well, I do believe that we have my industry, like the psychological industry in the larger sense, has lost its way. It reminds me of that Samuel Beckett quote, "You're on earth, there's no cure for that." And everybody's looking for a cure. And with the cure, a diagnosis. And with the diagnosis comes the implicit cure, you think. And some psychiatrists, specifically, I would argue, really buy into that way of thinking. And I think it's extremely damaging.
Yeah.
And I think, gender uplifted an awful, or shone a light on a lot of things. For example, the rot in academia. It really exposed that. It really exposed how much the pharmacological industry is, driven by money. It exposed the move from being client-centered to client-led. It exposed the healthcare industry, especially in America, from being, first do no harm to buyer beware, because now it's a consumer-led industry. And also exposed the psychological industry to being peddling diagnoses, giving out diagnoses. People go diagnosis shopping. Some psychiatrists are particularly keen to give lots of diagnoses. They're kind of diagnosis happy. They almost, abuse vulnerable clients' vulnerabilities with this, because they simplify and they give them this diagnosis, and the person thinks, oh well, that's my new road ahead, and it's not. Life isn't that simple, and actually, it's really, really kind of worrisome as a road. So I remember somebody saying that really made me think. They said, gender didn't begin in queer theory in the 90s. Gender began with Ritalin and Adderall in the 1990s for kids. Trans kid, that concept. It was like the ADHD kid. And
yeah.
I'm not saying some people don't have ADHD. And funnily enough, I've been diagnosed by friends and acquaintances suddenly in the last 3 years with ADHD by loads of people. And I'm like, this is hilarious. I'm 49. I got to 46 with nobody ever saying a word to me. And then suddenly everybody's diagnosing me with ADHD. That's contagion. Why the hell? Okay, I'm jumpy, I'm lively. I don't know whether I have or not. I couldn't care less. But the point is, isn't it hilarious that for the first 46 years of my life, nobody said anything to me. And now it's so in the word lexicon that now people are saying, have you tested for ADHD? And I'm like,
Yeah.
That is so reflective of how ADHD is so ubiquitous. And I'm not saying some people don't have ADHD. I don't know. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not. Psychotherapists are in the world. We're here to discuss the challenges of living. Psychiatrists are much more interested in diagnoses and frameworks. I'm pretty anti-psychiatry, not fully. I'm pretty wary of it. I think it leads to an awful lot of false hope. And yes, you're right. Things like bipolar, schizophrenia, there's some really, really difficult illnesses and conditions that seem to need a heavy level of medication. And then there's everything else.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, and it's not just in mental health, because I spoke about, me having chronic pain, any sort of symptomatic issues in which there isn't a clear solution. So if it was diabetes, that's very clear cut, right? So we can see there's a very clear diagnosis, it's a clear treatment. But sometimes with chronic pain, it's sort of like just unknown. So gosh, like when I moved on to sort of pain management consultants, when you say prescription happy, you just have no idea. And on all of these like anti-epileptic, actually all drugs you'd see in psychiatry as well, like I got put on this terrible one called pregabalin or Lyrica for ages. But I mean, they don't work. And then they're like, oh yeah, you can come off it in 2 weeks. And then you just, the withdrawal periods and the way that impacts my mental health were just insane.
They say they're so flippant, because I experienced something similar, not chronic pain, but I was chronically ill in my 20s. And I remember this awful, so I had the same epiphany that you had, which was frightening and also empowering at the same time, which was, oh my God, there's nobody really in charge here. This is I'm on my own. I'm just going to doctors, but they're not really caring about me. And actually nobody's in charge. So I was going for this and I was going for that and I was going for the other. And then it was this awful realization of this is completely up to you. Completely. And nobody else. They'll just keep on giving me medication. They'll keep on giving me diagnosis. I keep on attending the clinics. They'll keep on just trying this and trying that. And they say kind of very, very kind of lightly say, you'll experience some discomfort. And anybody who's been pregnant and had a baby will remember that word, like, oh, are you uncomfortable? It's like, I'm in agony. Like my body's been split apart. Am I uncomfortable? Like, it's similar with these medication, and you coming off, like people coming off Lyrica or people coming off serious medication, and they're like, I saw the nadir of life. I really went to the depths of despair, and my doctor said, yes, it wasn't a comfortable experience. It was quite uncomfortable. I'm like, they are so flippant about the pain people discover or experience when they're coming off these medications, and they will flippantly bounce you onto another one.
Yeah.
Some don't. Some are very wary, but whoa, they feel very jaded and very, very cavalier is how I feel. But there's a great book, by the way, by Suzanne O'Sullivan, amazing writer, and she's written a book called It's All in Your Head, and it's about epilepsy and how 25% of people with epileptic fits, it's in their head. It's you know what I mean? It's utterly psycho. What's the word? Yeah, it's psychosomatic. Yeah. So it's a really good book for somebody like yourself who's been through that chronic pain train that people can be on. And I've noticed people who have gone through. I can think of a few people who've gone through a medical frightening experience of realizing it's totally up to me, can be very good around gender, because they know I know this world. I know the way you can just keep on giving false solutions to people.
That makes such good sense. I haven't really thought of it in that way, but yeah, maybe I was in the right place to sort of be open to it.